Hey, what's up, rock stars? It's Rox coming to you today with the review for Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 3, Episode 11, you guys. Isn't the show starting to feel a little bit like Groundhog Day? Like, isn't it the same thing over and over again? You know, Destiny and Tiffany getting into it. Mel and Destiny having to have a conversation about how they, don't understand why the other one feels the way that they feel about Tiffany. Lewis and Tiffany talking about how perfect their marriage is and how everybody else can't seem to get it together, namely Tisha and Marcel and Tisha having a conversation about her wanting him to spend more time with the family. Him telling her how he just has to work. Maurice and Kimmy a little passive aggressively starting issues by saying things slick, short, but still adding to the little flavor. Oh, and let us not forget Martell and Mel. 5 days of Martell and Mel fighting is more than enough. They've argued the whole trip. If it's not with passion, then it's just, still understated, but it's just confrontation between the two of them that I can do without. Yeah, I'm just ready for this trip to be over. Are they taking a hiatus this season? You guys let me know. Anyway, the review. Let's get to it, shall we? All right, you guys, so it's the next day. Of course, the girls went out and hung out. And remember, they were split up from the fellas. Something tells me the fellas didn't even go out. Because we didn't get any footage of anything. They probably stayed their ass right in that house or did whatever they wanted to do without each other. Anyway, everybody's kind of talking about the night before. Maurice and Kimmy talking about how Tiffany got into it basically with Tisha and Destiny, telling Tisha's business or just saying shit that she don't need to say at the time. At the same time, we see Tiffany talking to Lewis, and she's telling him that she can understand why Destiny has such a problem with her, and that if Tisha had a problem with what she was saying, then she should have said something. But since she didn't say anything, why does Destiny feel the need to say? But it's not the fact of what you're saying. It's not who you're talking about. It's the fact that you're bringing up something like this. We're at a festive occasion. This is their 15th wedding anniversary, and you're sitting up here talking about what you can clearly see is not the most positive things when we're trying to celebrate a 15-year marriage. Tiffany is just, ugh. And of course, Lewis was like, don't change who you are. You're a great person. She was all like, Destiny was threatening to drag me in the parking lot. And he was like, what? I was like, nigga, you know your wife. Stop acting so shocked that anybody wants to drag Tiffany. I bet you Tiffany gets threatened to get dragged at least twice a week. Now we see Destiny and Mel. They meet up and, Mel was like, hey, Destiny, did you have fun last night? Okay, did you have fun last night? Destiny asked her and she said she ain't gonna lie, even though she did have a good time when it first started off. As the day got, closer and closer to an end, it did start to feel like, what's going on? It's hard for me to gauge whether or not you like Tiffany if you don't. This conversation got on my nerves because I wish Destiny would just flat out say, yeah, I don't like her. And it's okay if you don't like somebody. You don't have to try to fit a round piece into a square hole. Sometimes you just don't like that person. You guys don't gel, and that is okay. But instead, Destiny's telling her how she just feels like they haven't been able to flesh things out because, Captain Save-A-Hole Mel always has to come to her rescue. And Mel has the nerve to turn it around and says, I think that Destiny is feeling a little insecure about our friendship, but she doesn't have anything to worry about. In other words, Destiny feels like Tiffany is trying. How old are we? How the fuck old are we? I mean, really, it does happen. It does happen, but that's not what the case is here. And it gets on my nerves that Mel is just refusing to see. Okay, but we have to keep the mess going. I understand that. It's a show. We got to keep it spicy and all of that. But at least admit that Tiffany does her part. You just always continue to put it on Destiny, and that's what gets on my nerves. You and I are the closest in the group, so I feel like I can tell when you are acting sort of out of your regular character. I mean, you guys tell me, do you feel like Destiny acts out of character? Do you feel like she's changed in any kind of way? If anything, she's probably a little bit more outgoing because that first season that she was on, it was hard to kind of tell her personality. Her personality comes out. I'm not saying that Destiny is perfect in any kind of way, okay? But I still like me and Destiny could be homegirls because I just feel like so far, I agree with the things that Destiny says. So Destiny says that she just feels like they need to talk. Maybe without Mel coming in and trying to be her bodyguard the whole time. And even though Mel tells her that, sometimes it is her facial expressions as well that, even if you don't say anything the way you look, I was like, well, isn't that the pot calling the kettle black? Because we got one of Mel's infamous stupid faces later on in the show, but we'll talk about that later. But Mel is good for showing a face too. Again, it's another one of those conversations where Mel is trying to get Destiny to see Tiffany's other side. We don't really have another side to Tiffany. Tiffany is who she is. She and Destiny don't like each other. Actually, Tiffany, I don't think cares one way or the other. But Destiny definitely doesn't like Tiffany. So it's just like, girl, just say that and move on and just be like, anytime I feel like she's going to try to say something smart, I'm going to say something smart back to her ass. Okay? And let that be that. Because all the rest is just bullshit. While they're having that conversation, we also see that Tisha and Marcel is having a conversation about the night before. And of course, Tisha has to confront Marcel about what Tiffany said. You know, Tiffany told us that Lewis told her that you guys told the fellas, or you told the fellas, that I was insecure in our marriage, you know. And of course, Marcel is exactly the way he always is, you know, laid back in the bed, looking on his phone, you know, kind of just looking over at her like, this again. He does finally come clean though and says, you know, it is some issue there. When Tisha says she felt like it was like, here we go again, you know, some people coming from the outside trying to tell me something about my marriage. And he was like, listen, Letitia, you and I do everything together. Okay, our lives, basically 90% of everything that we do is together. Everything can be going fine. And then you always seem to find that 10%, there's 10% of people that come from the outside who you don't know, who has no bearing on our relationship, who don't even really know what we do, how we get down, okay? They come in and they ask you one question or they say one thing and it completely throws your life upside down. Like, that is really being insecure. And she says, well, everybody does have insecurities, and that's true. Everybody does have insecurities. You continuing to let people put you in that place is not the most healthiest. Really, I honestly feel like this show is not good for Letitia and Marcel's relationship, because when you get down to it, Letitia is not the strongest. Now, her husband is like, he don't care. He doesn't care what other people say or think, and he's gonna be the way that he wants to be, and that's fine. But your wife is not that way, and this show obviously has taken a toll, all right? So, like I said, don't let the show fuck up your marriage. The shit wasn't perfect, but it can be a whole lot worse. Marcel just tries to tell her that, listen, you can love and respect somebody and everything, and you can just totally 100% dismiss any advice that they give you. Just because it works for them doesn't mean it will work for us, for you, okay? You need to be able to know that a lot of that shit is just noise. Marcel is really trying to explain it to Letitia. Letitia doesn't always doesn't always get it. And I'm telling you, it's just going to continue to get worse and worse as they're on this show, because they just can't seem to, it doesn't work. So she tries to tell him that she gets the information sometimes from her married friends, you know. So he's like, okay, well, what is it that I need to do to make you feel more comfortable? So for the 100th time, she tells him how she wants him to spend more time with her and the kids, you know, that they want to travel as a family. They want to create memories as a family. You know, she's tired of it just being her and the kids. And again, for the 101st time, Marcel tells her how, you know what, he doesn't want to have to work so hard. All right. He doesn't want to have to be out all the time and doing things, but he has a plan, you know, generational wealth. He's trying to say, and that's all fine and good. But I know a lot of people will tell you that they'll look up and they have missed their entire children's lives growing up. These are moments you can't get back. Your kids are going to be grown. Your kids will love you probably, but there's always some sort of distance that's created there because they don't really know you. You're not really around, you know? And so I think people, like, you know, as your kids get older and you can realize that maybe you didn't do some things correctly, that's where I think Marcel is going to have some regret. All right. And so she's crying and trying to tell him that she wants to do that. And he tells her, basically, I'm not going to do that. And we've had this conversation many times as well. We already know how Marcel feels about it. And that's just kind of that. Okay. At no point does he say, okay, I will make it a point for us to at least go on vacation once a year as a family, something where I can just put everything down and go do that. He doesn't ever say that. He's not going to do it, okay? Marcel is very stubborn, stuck in his ways. So then we move on from that. She said, you know, since we celebrating our 15th anniversary, you know, I was hoping that we could do something fun, you know, maybe we can like do a recommitment. And long story short, he was just like, no, that's not what he wants to do. Okay. He thinks of his marriage with her as something serious, you know, and he would rather it be a serious occasion just between the two of them. Maybe they can do something just between them, you know, recommit to each other. And she was just like, yeah, but, you know, don't you want to do something fun and have everybody around? And he was just like, what do I need to do it with them for? Why should I have something fun? No, that's not what I want to do. Okay. And you can tell that she's like, what if, you know, if the occasion presented itself and he just basically was like, no, I said, Letitia, now you know your husband. He just said he don't want to do something like that. Please don't still go forward with this. He clearly said, do not surprise me with a renewal. So we can't feel sorry for her if anything else happens other than that. She was like, my soul told me that he doesn't really want to have a recommitment ceremony, so I have to come up with a plan B. Okay. So I'm like, okay, phew. We're not going to have no embarrassing moments. She's listening to her husband. So after that, she goes in there and she talks to Tiffany and Lewis. And, you know, Tiffany was like, are we good? Because, you know, what Destiny was saying yesterday, she made me feel like maybe it bothered you. And Tisha was like, no, you know, it's just that, you know, we was celebrating like our 15th anniversary. And, you know, it just wasn't like appropriate for the time. And I was like, are you afraid of Tiffany? Like, are you intimidated by her? Because very clearly it bothered you. You should have said, yeah, girl, that was not the time or the place. Like, I don't like the fact that you brought that up there. It was embarrassing. It was nothing that I wanted to talk about at that. You know, this whole hemming and hawing that Tisha does with everybody else that she thinks means that she's putting forth a strong effort. That's not what it is. What it is like you kowtowing to Tiffany and making her feel like it's okay. You know, so Tiffany was like, well, you know, Tiffany has to work on, you know, timing, because I was like, Tiffany, you call yourself a educated, smart woman. And, you know, common sense would tell you certain things. Tiffany knows exactly what she wants to do and she does it. And I'm sure that's why they brought her on the show. She's doing what she's been hired to do, but it's not rubbing at least this viewer the right way. And really, when I think about all of the comments that I see about her, most people don't like her. So I can bet you that if she does show up on the season next season, she's gonna tweak her behavior, okay? Because it ain't going over well. Okay, talking about she want to have a genuine friendship with these girls. Girl, please. So anyway, so are we still on for tonight? You know, what are we doing? And Letitia was like, well, you know, I talked to Marcel and he said that he didn't want... I like doing Tisha. He said that he don't really want to do a commitment, you know, ceremony. They were like, well, what do you want to do? And see, this is the other thing about Letitia. She's so malleable. Like, you can just... all you got to do is talk to her a little bit and you can change your mind. And that is so it's not good when you know for a fact how your husband is. So they're asking her what she wants to do. Well, we already know what she wants to do. Sometimes you can't do what you want to do because this is a partnership. Your partner doesn't want to do that. Sometimes you just got to look at the bigger picture. Okay, we're not doing that. Okay, certain things that you really got to stick your guns to, this is what we doing. Your partner, you know, should compromise. That's all about the whole thing with marriage. You got to compromise a lot of things. He doesn't want to do this. Girl, don't do it. Okay, but they were just like, well, what do you want to do? You know, I think that you should do it, you know, and she's just sort of like, yeah, maybe. I was just like, just not the most, you know, I don't like calling her dumb. She's obviously not dumb. She's got her degrees and all of that, but she's just not the smartest. She just she doesn't have good common sense. I'm assuming she probably has book sense. But honey, some of these scholars is probably just as dumb as a rock out there. So, I mean, Marcel just told you that you let people come from outside of your marriage and tell you what you should do inside of your marriage. When your husband, okay, that 90%, he just told you he ain't doing that shit, and he meant that with all 100% of his heart. And you still letting somebody like Tiffany and Lewis tell you to change your mind? Girl, you about to be embarrassed on this TV. So it's the last night in Las Vegas, and we're going to have a good time. Everybody get all dressed up as a couple. We getting on the van, the big bus or whatever you want to call it, and we are going to have a good time out. Okay, going to dinner, going to hang out, whatever they're going to do. But Letitia says she still has a surprise. All right, so while they're driving in the bus, it was funny. Mel was just like, Martell, you look really nice today. Then she looks over at Des. She says, see, I can be nice. And honey, Martell had on his salmon colored suit. He actually did look really nice. That shirt was all the way unbuttoned down to like right above his belly button. I was just like, I don't know why we got to be so Rico Suave, but I guess he was like I'm in Vegas. I'm single. All right. I'm going to try to look as good as I can so my wife can see what she missing, or my ex-wife, excuse me. So anyway, they sitting on the bus and they're riding, and Letitia was just like, we gonna go eat, but I still have like a surprise. And I was like, girl, you really doing this, huh? You really doing this? So they pull up at the wedding chapel, and everybody's like, what are we doing here? Oh my God, is it a commitment, a recommitment ceremony? Okay, that's me. Oh, we about to do your recommitment ceremony. That is so dope. Like, I can't wait to see. This is so nice. Marcel was just like, in the confessional, he was like, I don't really know what Letitia think this is. Okay, is this my husband won't say no in front of all these people? Is she trying me that way? I was like, yeah, I think that is what Letitia is doing. But honey, we only know Marcel for 3 years, and we already knew how this was going to turn out. So why somebody that's been with him for 15 years couldn't figure that out? So Marcel, even before they get off the bus, is just sort of like, yeah, no, we not doing that. We not doing that, because I already told my wife that I didn't want to do this. So I'm sure my wife wouldn't go against my wishes and do this anyway. Okay. And they were like, well, we could be doing it. It's a whole bunch of people that could do a recommitment. Okay, the Holtz, maybe Mel and Martell could be doing it. And Mel was just like, listen, I gave Martell plenty of chances before the divorce. I don't know why people think it's funny for us to get up to this chapel and think that we about to do something. The divorce is final. All right, so this ain't funny. I was like, yeah, it's not. Okay. But hell, everybody is throwing jabs anyway. So, I mean, why not throw it at Martell and Mel, all these damn M's. Anyway, so we get off the bus and we go inside. What are we going inside for? Okay, I think Letitia still was looking for this, whatever she thought was about to happen was not about to happen. So we get inside and she was just like, so, I was just trying to see if anybody out there wanted to do any kind of recommitment, and everybody is kind of standing around like, I mean, who really is about to do a recommitment? I mean, Kimmy and Maurice, I guess, could have done it, but what's the point? I mean, they just got married, Louis and Tiffany, they just got married too. Mel and Martell obviously ain't going there. Destiny is single, so what are we talking about here? Okay, and Destiny actually says it's obvious that Marcel doesn't want to publicly, express his love for his wife. And I can't fault Destiny and the rest of the people for feeling that, while they're sitting there watching. But it still falls on Letitia, because Letitia, your husband, and he clearly told you he didn't want to do this. You put him in a position where he's going to stick to the way that he feels. Okay, he's not going to back down. And now you've given these people the reason to think that Marcel is unreasonable. He's not necessarily unreasonable when he's clearly told you he doesn't want to do something. I mean, you've challenged him enough in this way to know that it doesn't turn out the way that you want to, and you end up looking stupid. Okay, so Marcel's not doing it. Now you got everybody thinking that Marcel doesn't love you, or he doesn't want everybody to know that, he loves you, and everybody is super pressuring, which is even worse, especially Louis, Tiffany, Mel, okay? And even Martell has something to say, but Martell always has something to say when it's not him. He loved to put the pressure on somebody else. But the whole thing is, just like Marcel said, you getting advice from Louis and Tiffany, who've only been married 11 minutes. Okay, 11 months. And Mel and Martell, or Mel, with Martell singing from the choir stands. You're listening to them and they're freshly divorced. Okay, so freshly married, freshly divorced. Why are you even listening to them? Okay, Mel.
We're here to celebrate your 15th anniversary. Get on up there and express your love for your wife.
And Marcel's not gonna do it. It's just sort of like trying to get a real stubborn baby to eat. You know how they knock the hell out that spoon and you get food and shit all over you, all over the damn table, the wall, and all that? Okay, that's Marcel. It's not happening. So finally, Louis and Tiffany say that they'll do it because we're having fun, and why not? Okay, shit. She surprised them with a wedding. Let's do a surprise renewal of commitment of renewal, vow renewal, whatever you want to call it. So they go through that, and it's just whatever. Okay, these people don't even have a relationship with Tiffany and Louis, so we really don't care. And, you know, that, of course, that's the example of them being the perfect marriage again, remember? Y'all remember the first year or two when you was married, honey. Nobody could tell you nothing about your marriage. Then, honey, that shit gets serious about year 3. Year 3, year 4, now we in it. We is married for real. And then it just kind of keeps on going from there. So, like my grandmother Rose would always say, honey, keep on living. Keep on living. After they finish that,
anybody else, want to just recommit, do a recommitment?
Okay. Marcel was like, okay, my wife is going to keep going on with this. It could be a recommitment of anything. I mean, does anybody else? Child, I was just like, oh my God. Obviously, it's not happening. Can you give that chapel back so the next drunk couple can come and get married and y'all ain't in the damn way? So we finally let that go. Okay. And, of course, Mel catches up with Letitia.
Hey, Letitia, I just wanted to check on you and see how you were because I know that you really wanted to have this recommitment, renewal of vows, and Marcel didn't want to do it.
I was like, Mel, leave her alone. Okay? You know how Letitia is. She can't handle this kind of stuff. You are making it worse. You know you're making it worse. This passive aggressive shit about Mel is just so, that is hard to get used to as well. So, Tisha.
Oh, you know how Marcel is. Like, he always,
and I was like, see, here you go again. The reason that you have to defend Marcel is because of you, at least in this instance. So, can't feel sorry for Letitia, sorry. But we continue on with our night. And we take it on to the Paris Hotel, and they go to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant out there. Okay, this is real nice and cozy. They get a nice private room, and they're going to be eating in there. I was like, oh, one of those infamous Love and Marriage Huntsville, dinners where everybody gets together and they blast each other. So remember when I was saying that Maurice and Kimmy always does shit like kind of like on the low, like slick. Kimmy, well, it was last time we were together like this, we celebrated you guys' 10-year anniversary and now we're doing the 15th anniversary, talking about Mel and Martell, and now talking about Marcel and Letitia, and then Maurice chimes in, yeah, and we did, you guys was all there from our marriage. Big eyes. Mel had to jump in.
Well, unfortunately, we won't be able to celebrate those moments anymore with me and Martell, but...
And Martell was like, oh, excuse me. Okay. Oh, you gonna be able to celebrate with the Holtz? Because I'm going to get married again. I love being married, and I'm going to get married again. Sometimes it's just things work out, and sometimes they don't. But yes, Martell Holt is definitely getting married again. I don't know. It might be to Mel. And then here goes Mel's face. Girl, you always got to put 20 on 10. People saying that y'all going to end up back together.
I don't know who Martell is trying to convince, himself or everybody at the table. He know good and well that this marriage is over.
I think Melody actually loves to hear Martell say that because it gives her the chance to keep saying that, oh, well, I gave you chances and you still mess it up. Okay, so these two. And then also, I think the fact that he said that he was getting married again, it may be to you and it may not be to you. I think she felt a certain way about this. So now here we go with the Mel and Martell argument again.
Martell, how could you tell somebody somebody that you wanted them to be happy, but then turn around and say you hope somebody break your heart. Like, who says that?
And he was just like, over there drinking his drink. And then Marcel was like, I know why he said that, because he still loves you and he don't want any other man to step in and, you know, take his place. He don't want anybody to be able to make you happy. He wants to be thinking that he's the one, you know, to can only be that person for you. Honey, it's plenty of fish in the sea. It's a whole bunch of people in this world, okay? Y'all don't get stuck in the thought of thinking that just this one person can make you happy. It's plenty of people out there that can do it. Then Maurice jumps in and says, well, maybe Martell didn't feel like he was told when he was dropping the ball. And I was like, well, that can't be true, because Mel very clearly looks like the type that's going to tell him when he's messing up, you know? And then Marcel was like, no, he always compared himself to other men.
Oh my God, I heard that all the time. He always said, you know, the other men ain't doing this, ain't.
Why does everything have to be about Mel and Martell? If I was at that dinner, I would have just been like, oh God. So we get past that. Now Marcel has to address his problem with Louis. Okay, old run tell that ass. He tells them like how the pillow talk needs to stop. Well, you can't tell people what to say in their damn bedrooms. All right, husband and wife. As much as you can keep telling somebody not say something, when husband and wife get in the bed, honey, they get to telling all their friends' business. I mean, it happens a lot. Certain things, you know, you just don't need to tell your spouse. But, you know, there's other times when you just be like, listen, wait, I'm about to tell you something. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Just listen, okay? That happens definitely. You would just think that your spouse would be smart enough not to go back and tell the wife of the shit that was said about her. Like, if you know that your spouse doesn't have the filter enough to not say certain things, then that's when you shouldn't say it. Like, there's certain things I know you just need to keep that shit close, okay? And other things you can go. So you just kind of have to know your spouse. And that's my other thing with Louis. He knows how Tiffany is. He knows how Tiffany is. Don't make excuses for your big mouth ass wife. So Marcel was like, I don't need to hear, you know, what I told you. I don't need it to come back to me from my wife. And Louis was like, well, if you hadn't been out there running in the streets basically and telling everybody in the streets shit about your wife, then it wouldn't have been a story to get back to her in the first place. And you couldn't argue with that. Like I said, this isn't just Martell, Marceau, and Maurice. And even that other one, what's that other one that they had? I mean, even he was not no big mouth ass. And you got Louis, who's new to the group. Y'all don't really know how he's going to be. I guess you thought he was going to be one of the bros and whatever. But no, he goes back and he tells his old wife. I'm almost going to think that he's henpecked it a little bit. I ain't seen proof of that yet, but you know, we still know who wears the pants over there. So Marceau says there's certain things that he doesn't tell his wife. And Louis was like, yeah, there's certain things that I don't tell my wife either. But still, the shit that you saying out there definitely is something that you needed to have had a conversation with your wife about in the first place, okay? From then on, you need to not tell Louis anything. You know, when it's Louis and Tiffany in the confessional. That's why their marriage isn't good, because, you know, Marceau is running around telling everybody but his wife what the problem is. They don't talk to each other about the little issues or the important issues. So Maurice was like, I got a question. How is important is happiness in a marriage? And Marceau was like, well, happiness always comes second to a commitment. It's so funny because all these things that I can just remember when me and Mr. went to a counselor, the counselor telling us all these things, okay? Commitment is number one in a marriage. You're not always going to be in love. You're not always going to be the happiest. This is always about that commitment is the first thing. Then Mel jumps in and says, well, I have a question. How detrimental is depression to a marriage? Okay, how's that? And everybody was like, oh, good question. Okay. Well, of course, depression is not good for any marriage. Okay, depression is not good because when you can't pull yourself out of this hole, it affects everything. Not just your marriage, your whole entire life, okay? So, yeah, of course depression is not good in a marriage. Marceau admits that he's been depressed over the last year, frustrated because all of the issues that him and Letitia have faced, and it's not really coming from within, it comes from without. Now, the problem that I have with Marceau is he picks and chooses when he wants to be really open to the group and other times. This was a time where, now we just coming off the heels of what just happened at the chapel. Maybe you just needed to just kind of bite your tongue on this one. But the fact that now you're admitting that you've been depressed, that you've been frustrated, that there is some issue, it just makes it seem like everything else that you said was a lie. It makes it seem like you don't really love your wife, and that's the reason why you didn't want to do the recommitment. You know, you are confirming for these people the ways that they think, which is incorrect. I do feel like Marceau loves his wife. Okay. But I feel like Marceau was stuck in his ways, and this is the Marceau that she fell in love with. You can't tell me that that man hasn't changed, okay, from 15 years ago. I bet you he was exactly that same way. And now all of a sudden it's a problem. And that's why these two can't get it together. Because he was like, I've been this way for 12 years. Then we get on this show in the last 3 years. You want to act all brand new. And so that's why I was just like, why would you confirm? Now you making it seem like. So anyway, you guys, this episode was actually kind of frustrating for me. And I just really didn't have the patience. On top of that, I've got a lot going on here. Jasmine is sick. If you guys follow me on Instagram, she had a seizure or something, and we don't really know. It took her to the vet, was at the damn emergency all day yesterday. It saw a whole lot. I mean, people watched. I was there from 8 to 5, basically. A full day. I felt like I should have been working in there with them, you know, processing dogs and cats and shit, since I was there all that time anyway. But, so I've been preoccupied, and so maybe my patience wasn't that long with this show to begin with. But it just seemed like the same shit over and over and over and over and over again. And I guess that can get tired. So I know this hiatus, it should be coming soon, right? Y'all let me know when it is, because I think we all need a little break. All right, you guys, let me get on off of here, get this edited, and up to you. Make sure that you rate, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'm itsrox. The channel is itsrox. Everything else I do will be in the bottom bar. All right. So I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and I plan on doing the same. Till next time, rock stars. Bye.